21 Rockstar families, and welcome to our weekly VODCAST. Another week down, and here comes another amazing week in Room 21. I have a ton of announcements, so I want to get right to them. First of all, I'd like to congratulate this week's Rockstar of the Week, Shemaya Curtis. Shemaya, on a daily basis, has an incredible level of effective effort. And, you know, it's so evident in everything that she does, every second of every day. And that is why Shemaya was named this week's Rockstar of the Week. So congratulations goes out to Shemaya. If you still have middle school elective forms, those really need to make their way to Mrs. Gardella as soon as possible. And I wanted to quickly thank Yesenia, Greg, Tiffany, and Steve for chaperoning on our field trip last Tuesday. You know, all of the groups were spectacular. I heard nothing but excellent comments. And, you know, the trip wouldn't have been successful without your amazing dedication to give up an entire day to come out and chaperone the Room 21 Rockstar. So thank you very much. Coming up on Thursday, in the Friday folder this week as well, was a blue paper that explained an event Thursday night being held at Barrett for the new students who will be coming to our school next year from Moncure Elementary School, guys, who were redistricted. There are about 40 of them, and Mrs. Austin is putting on a night to kind of acquaint them to the school and all of that, but we want to roll out the red carpet. If you guys remember whenever we had our first Jumpstart program, you know, the feeling just walking down that red carpet is so magical and you just feel wonderful. We want to give that same feeling to these new families to Barrett who will be coming to us in the fall. So we are asking all of the Barrett Academy scholars to come out from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on Thursday night. Just wear Barrett wear or Barrett Academy shirt, anything like that. The scholars are going to be cheering on the brand new Moncure students and families who are coming to Barrett, and it will be a great night. If your scholar has play rehearsal, they can just come right after that, and you are more than welcome to drop your scholar off and then pick them up in the lobby of Barrett at 6:30. And again, that is on this Thursday night, April 30th. Thank you guys for your support in advance for that. On Friday is round number 1 of the Great Barrett Shake, and this is one of my favorite events of the year because the scholars really get to put on display everything that they've learned all year long and really, try it whenever no one else is around. So it's a lot of fun. This is round number 1, and this year it's a little different because it will be held during the school day. So round number 1 is during our regularly scheduled academy time. The scholars will be going into 3 different rooms with scenarios posed. And then if the top 20 scores in all of the 3, 4, 5 academy classrooms will be advancing on to round number 2, which will be taking place in a couple of weeks after school, with more information to follow for those who advance. So remind your scholar to brush up their knowledge on the Barrett Academy Constitution because that is coming up on Friday. Also on Friday, we have the rescheduled Dare basketball game, 7 p.m. at Brook Point High School. It's $5 a person or $10 for a family. They have an amazing Chinese auction. Every single elementary school in the county has donated a basket full of different prizes. They have obviously the basketball game. They have food and drinks and a lot of fun, and that supports the Dare Day, which is coming up in June. So I hope to see you all there Friday night, 7 p.m. at Brook Point High School. And Dare graduation is coming up next Wednesday, May 6th, right after announcements. More information will be coming home soon. And one final announcement with Dare, guys, is the fact that on Wednesday, the scholars will be reading their Dare essays in front of the class to Deputy Scoggins, which is the final requirement for their completion of the Dare program. So make sure you encourage them after tomorrow and Tuesday, after they print out their final copy of their essay, to kind of practice and rehearse that a few times at home so that they can be confident with that. Deputy Scoggins chooses the top individual who has written the best quality paper and presents it in a way that has all of those virtues that we've talked about with Barrett Academy to read it during their graduation. So there will be one person from our classroom who receives that honor. Next Monday, we have a field trip, guys, coming up to the Civil War History Mobile over at Central Office. We'll only be there for 2 hours, so we do not need any chaperones for this trip. And the trip is totally free. The only thing that I need returned is that yellow permission form that went home last week saying that your scholar is able to attend. So that's next Monday. And finally, I have posted now in our class newsletter, in our weekly emails, and now here, the fact that our 3 SOL testing dates are reading. We are testing on Wednesday, May 13th. Math, we're testing on Thursday, May 21st. And finally, science, we're testing on Friday, June 5th. It's very important that the scholars are at school those days and on time during those days. And really, the next 2 months, guys, every moment of instruction in the classroom is incredibly important for success, not only in middle school, but also in these SOLs that are coming down the road. I believe that I have finally covered all of the announcements that I have for the day, guys. I'm going to send you over to the strategy session, and then I'll catch you back on the other end. Sure, you're going to come to be quite surprised this week that you have been working with algebra for years on end. And I'm going to prove that to you the first day of our study tomorrow by showing you two things, and that would be repeating and growing patterns. Now, in the past, you've always just looked for what comes next or what comes on down the road with those things. This year, we're going to start putting a variable to them. So the first thing I want you to do anytime you have a pattern and you're trying to look for what type of pattern do you have, first of all, you need to ask yourself, is this a repeating pattern? So is there a core? Meaning, is there a part that just seems to repeat over and over again? So let's evaluate this first pattern. So it goes 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay, now obviously this is a pretty simple pattern, but our core, we're going to use that word, our core, kind of like the core of an apple, is 1, 2, 2, 1. So that's the part, and that just repeats over and over and over again. So then my next set is 1, 2, 2, 1. My next set is 1, 2, 2, 1. So then next in the pattern would be 1, 2, 2, and then if I had another blank, it'd be 1. So we're not going to work too much with repeating patterns. Really, we're just going to look to make sure that we have found that core. Here's where we're really going to work, though, guys, and that would be growing patterns, because with growing patterns, that is where variables come into play. So the first thing I always do, first of all, I need to evaluate, do I have a repeating pattern here? 85, 75, 65, 55, 45? No. Nothing repeats itself, so I don't have a core. So then I'm going to draw a hop, okay? Kind of like we do on the number line when we work with elapsed time, when we work on rounding, anything. I have to ask myself, how do I get from 85 to 75? Well, I get from 85 to 75 by subtracting 10. So I'm going to put a minus 10. I'm going to do another hop or two just to make sure that that pattern holds out for all of the digits, all of the numbers. Okay, so from 75 to 65, that is minus 10. I'm going to do it again just so I don't have a hoax here. 65 to 55, that'd be minus 10. Notice I'm drawing my hops and putting what happens above. And if I even do it one more time, that's minus 10. So I now know that my pattern is minus 10. But let me show you how algebra comes into play. Okay, and we know the variable. We've worked with variables when we were working with geometry, which is the unknown number, the variable, the unknown, as we always say in class. That can be represented by any lowercase letter. So today, for the fun of it, I'm going to make it a D. Okay, and all that I'm going to do now that I know my pattern is to put D minus 10. So any number minus 10 is how you find your pattern. This is our pattern. So it's D minus 10, which is where the algebra comes into play, guys. So then the next number in my pattern would be 35. If I take 45 minus 10, I just plug these numbers into my variable. The next one would be 35 minus 10, which would be 25. And then the next blank would be 25 minus 10, which would be 15. Okay, so really the big difference this year, and especially moving into Wednesday when we start working on equation maths, will be the algebraic expression. Remember, this is called an open expression. It's an expression because it does not have an equal sign. Just kind of like an incomplete sentence in writing. It's not a number sentence because it does not have that equal sign to make it complete. It's just an expression. Okay, so let's move down the page real quick and look at a couple more, and then I'm going to send you off to some practice. Now, as always, look to see, do you have a repeating pattern? It's always simple to just kind of narrow that one out. So if I go from 12 to 24, 36, blank, 60, I do not see anything that repeats itself here. So I'm going to do a hop. So to get from 12 to 24, let's think about that. I have to add 12. Okay, let's do another one. To get from 24 to 36, what did I have to do there? Oh, I had to add 12. Now in this case, we have a blank coming up next. Okay, so the pattern appears that we are adding 12 each time. So these are multiples of 12, ladies and gentlemen, which we should have down in our sleep. But our next number would be 48. And then just to check out that pattern and make sure it's right, you can do the next hop. And yes, I'm going to make you do these hops over and over again, rock stars, because that will lead to your success. I know it might get on your nerves, but I want you to do it. So then 48 to 60 would be another plus 12. So my algebraic expression here, it's not a number sentence, would be any variable. You can choose any letter of the alphabet. Today I'm going with D because that is what my first name starts with, and then I just simply take my rule, which is plus 12, so D plus 12 would be my expression here. And we've already talked about the fact that expressions do not have an equal sign, so I want you to start using that vocab word whenever you are communicating your thinking in class and on anything that you write. Okay, let's do one more just to check this out because this one might be a little more tricky. From 3 to 5, I added 2. Okay, and then I have a blank, and then I go to 12. Okay, now, if I add 2, if I take 5 and I just add 2 to it, that's 7. And then if I take 7 plus 2, that is not 12. So we have a different type of pattern here. Okay, this is why you always hop more than one time. Couple things that you can always evaluate to see if it's the case, especially with a pattern that's kind of funky like this and they only give you a little bit of help. Something else you could do here is come over to 23 and 30 and I added 7. Okay, so I know I have to do a hop from here to here, here to here, and then here to here. Okay, so what could I possibly do to make this work? Well, maybe it's increasing each time. So just hear me out here and check this out. Possibly it is going plus 3, which would be 8, and then plus 4, which would be 12, and then plus 5. Okay, now, this is, and this is actually the pattern, guys, if you were trying to figure it out there, and then plus 6 would take you to 23, and plus 7 would take you to 30. I forgot one hop in there. The algebraic expression for this is kind of confusing. Let me show you what you need to do, okay? You could do a couple of things here to make it work, and choose any variable. Once again, I'm going to go with D, okay? And because it goes plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, plus 7, how could we possibly show that in the form of an expression? Think about it, guys. Because we're not going to talk about that till about Thursday, I'm actually going to tie some house points to this. If you can come up with the expression for this pattern by Thursday, it's a tricky one. Okay, think about all your operations, multiplication, division, subtraction. You may have to do multiple. I'll give you 5 house points. Okay, so bring that in by Thursday if you can come up with the expression here. Now I'm going to send us over to some practice now that I showed you the repeating and the growing patterns. And if you come to our website, go to the VODCAST strategy section, and come down to the math for the week. And now these are in order of difficulty. So the first link that you can go to at iExcel is going to give you some increasing growing patterns, not going to be too hard. You can get a house point for each of them as long as you show your work and bring it in. The next one is going to be a little harder where they're going to have blanks within the pattern. And the final one is going to involve patterns within word problems, okay, which is our ultimate focus by the end of the week, because that is how we kind of tie in that algebraic piece to all of our learning. Okay, so these 3 websites, 1 point per problem, bring that in for next week. And the other thing that I also provided for you this week is actually a function machine. Now, we're going to look at these on Tuesday, but this is also where our algebra comes into play. Let me actually just click this and then hit start. Let me show you this. So you can either work with the output, the input, or the function. Today I want us to just start simple and maybe start with the output. Okay. So if I put in the number 6 and my function rule is 7n, what would be my output? Well, we know when a number is pulled up next to a variable, which is the unknown, and there's no sign in between, that means multiplication. So that simply means I'm going to take 7 times my input, which is 6, which is 42. You enter that, hit check. You're correct, okay? You can also practice with the input, and I think the hardest one for you guys right now is going to be the function rule, okay? So give it a try, but it will be challenging at first. Okay, now I'm going to take us back to the website. And as always, write all that stuff down so that I can give you the proper house points for it. And I forgot to tell you guys that this week is a double house point week because the house point race is so close, and whoever's ahead on Friday, we wear their color the following Friday.
So it's so very important. I left up all the mean, median, mode, range activities in case you didn't complete them last week. You can get double house points for them. You guys did wonderful on your assessment that you took on Friday. I'm so proud of you there. But all of those websites are still there. 1 house point, so you can double it to 2 this week. Our poem of the week is here. If you go ahead and write that down, find some figurative language, interpret that for me, you can go ahead and get double house points, which would be 10, as well as our writing fix of the week. This is to kind of prep you guys for the great shake that is coming up this week. I have a prompt here that kind of goes with Barrett Academy and, reflecting back on that. And as always, you can always check out our Science SOL study materials. This week we have a pretty heavy schedule for what I want you to study. Tomorrow will be kind of light with clouds, but then the rest of the week you have to memorize the order of the planets from the sun, and then also based on their mass, and you also have to work on the sun, the moon, the earth, all of those things that you learned in 3rd and 4th grade, as well as the famous astronomers, guys. So it's a lot more than our typical study session for the week. So you got to make sure you're studying that each night because the quizzes are going to be a little harder. And I'm sure by now you're already waiting for the secret hashtag of the week. Okay? And the secret hashtag for this week is going to be, and it's not going to make sense right now, but you got to give me a chance and wait a few more days. It's going to be hashtag breakout. Okay? And you get double house points for it this week, so if you bring it in, and if you say it with some oomph, some passion, some creative manner, you can get yourself 10 house points because it's typically worth 5. Once again, that's hashtag breakout. And that will make more sense later this week. But now I'm going to send you back over to Mr. Riker.
Okay, Room 21 Rockstar families, thank you so much for tuning into our weekly VODCAST. I almost forgot to tell you what all of these trophies are doing beside me. Your scholar turned in their Grammarly album on Friday, and the Grammarys are quickly approaching, coming up next week. The day is still a little cloudy as to what actual day that will take place, but it is coming up next week. And this is just kind of a preview of a ton of the different trophies that I'm working on for the scholars for their Grammarly. So, give them a pat on the back for completing those because it was really the first assignment that we've ever done, and probably that they have ever done, where they have really been given the expectation and been given a couple of months to complete it, and they've had to make sure that everything got done by last Friday on time. One of the major skills they're going to need for middle school. So really give them a pat on the back for that because I saw some amazing initiative from your scholars all week long as they prepared and put the finishing touches on their Grammarly album. And as always, you'll have to talk to them next week about how the Grammarys went. So, in the meantime, if you ever need anything and have any questions, comments, concerns, do not hesitate to contact me. You can check us out on our Class Fusion page, our new website. You can always check out our Twitter feed @RecordRock. And as always, you are the